And that one does have a bit more weight when looking at the standings, just because, again, technically there is a world where Tempo Storm can struggle to get that #1 seed, but if they are able to get that win against Gale Force Esports, they would claim that #1 spot. So probably a little bit less playful, but I still wouldn't be surprised if maybe Gale Force gets a little bit kind of wild for us.
I just don't want anybody to walk away from their computer yet. I mean, if you're going to get a break, get a drink, get something to eat, all I know is our series next. But either way, talking about this one, obviously, you know, it's kind of hard to super analyze it. You know, we saw quite a few picks. For me, it created a little bit of excitement. We get to play around with a lot of heroes in our spare time. We get to talk about random things, what could work, what won't work. I wouldn't say this is confirmation of those things, but it is fun nonetheless to kind of see these heroes come out. And, you know, hopefully everybody kind of enjoyed it.
And I think it kind of also brings to light the fact that, you know, a lot of the builds and the talent builds here are definitely not tier 1, which is why they're not in every single game. But it shows that, you know, there are some heroes with secondary builds and even tier 3 builds that actually in the right situation, the right composition, it has a moment, it has a time where it can come to light. I definitely feel like, you know, especially when looking at the Decimate opportunity versus the Warlord Challenge, like maybe that's a little bit far. But, you know, Nazeebo, I would say, like the adjustments that we see from Priz and his build in the last game, some of the Zarya builds that we got today, I thought we got 2 different versions for 2 different reasons. You know, you can find some of the why do our pros play in the way they do, and even in series like today.
You go back to, again, game #1 on Volskaya. We saw the Stitches, Kalthas. Yes, it was a bit of a wild composition, but you could see that the communication is always going to be there when you're on a pro team. You know how it's supposed to work. You know how to make it work. Team Freedom obviously showing that they do have a little bit of fight in them. And again, for me, it's kind of like just kind of relaxing a little bit. And if they can transition some of that relaxation that we see in their drafts and in their play here to actual game time, and you know, again, sometimes it's kind of like, all right, are you going to do it? This time it's like, let's do it.
And I feel like there's a element of human that can exist in these type of situations that a lot of people don't really consider, especially from a viewer's perspective at home. As a team, these guys playing online, sitting at their computer, they play together for ridiculous amount of hours, you know, through what is, I would argue, one of the most, you know, tense careers that you can kind of volunteer towards when it comes to the competitiveness and everything like how much they have to practice. And very rarely do you get to just sit down and play video games together. And that sounds wild because you're all a bunch of professional gamers, but to sit and enjoy yourself, have a good time. And so when you have a weekend like this where you'd be like, we just had fun, that can mean a lot from the mentality of the group, the team together, and everything. Like, I feel like a lot of people overlook how easy and difficult that can kind of be. Because, I mean, I even lived in a gaming home, and I feel like how often I got to be like, I played this game with this person just for fun was like maybe 2 to 3 times out of the entirety of a year.
It's tough. I mean, I think for me, I get to do that all the time, so I'm cool with it.
I'm cool with it. Yeah, I wish you know, a little bit more now that I'm all washed up and on the commentary side. We got Lutano on the line, though, here from Team Freedom. Lutano, I don't even have any hard-hitting questions. I just got to ask, did you have a lot of fun, and what was your favorite, you know, hero pick of the day?
We had a ton of fun. I mean, I'm a big fan of Butcher, so I'm glad I got to play a game. He's awesome.
Did you solely pick the Butcher to make Jay How happy? Because you definitely made Jay How happy.
I mean, we saw a couple requests in Twitch chat, so we were like, let's rip it. It's awesome.
So, you know, with the thoughts kind of going into today, I'm going to assume and kind of suggest that we figured it's because, again, not so much important when it comes to the standings, hiding a lot of strategies. But just to confirm on your guys' end, is there any other reason, you know, for the wild strategies we got from you guys?
It's just it's something we wanted to do for a long time. We're Freedom. Zugrug's a murky boy. Kill Stitches is just crazy. So he's been begging for a game on it. Support Stitches, and we just wanted to do it for a while, and obviously hiding strats is just a bonus.
Yeah, it was you know, it was a great show, and it was a lot of pleasure to kind of watch. And congratulations again here with the win. I'm gonna send you to J-How.
Thanks.
You said hide strats. You just showed your Butcher strat. What gives?
I know, man. We had to pull it out. This was a really close series, and we had to pull out all the stops to really take it home for the boys.
It's so hard to follow up on all this. I mean, I don't even know what to say. You said you're a big fan of Butcher. I said I'm a big fan of Butcher. Okay, level 4, you went bonus damage on your hamstring versus maybe Ruthless charge cooldown. Give me some thoughts.
I just wanted the burst. That was all it is. Full burst build. Level 4 for the Q and Jaina follow up. A lot of slows. We had a lot of CC that game, and we had the 10% max from Ruthless, so it worked out.
You know, at 13, if you end up getting enough stacks, you trade out more in auto attacks versus the Ruthless. And I saw the Ruthless at 13, and you're going into the 1 kill. I didn't know if you wanted to go down the cooldown reduction at 4 and then just rotate them over and over. But outside of that, man, obviously you guys have qualified here. You guys looked a lot more relaxed, obviously, coming into this game. What does it mean for you guys to have like a little bit of a relaxed period? Obviously, you know, games can get tense. Sometimes you guys, you know, we see these different compositions from you guys. Do you learn anything from a situation like this?
We learn or we lose or we learn. That's what we like to say. So, I mean, we win or we learn. That's the phrase.
You win or you learn.
Yep. So that's what we go for.
Well, everything worked out for you guys. I wish I had some tougher questions for you, but we definitely enjoyed the show, and we greatly appreciate it.
Awesome.
Before we go ahead and give you some shout-outs here, Lutano, I'm going to go ahead and ask towards the playoffs, because we have had, you know, some highs and some lows from you guys looking at the entirety of Phase 1 and especially a part number 2 coming into it. Where do you guys see yourselves in the playoffs? In the current standings, things, you know, obviously today is very hard to measure individual skill levels, so it's just where do you guys mentally find yourselves at that playoffs? Obviously probably aspiring for obviously claiming the 2nd seed in North America, but do you feel like you're at that point? Is that a realistic possibility for you guys as a group?
I think if we play at our best, we're the best team in North America, and that's all it comes down to. Freedom shows up, and we're always playing to win. So,
well, I look forward to seeing if you can make that happen there next weekend. The floor is yours for any shout-outs.
Shout-outs to my team. Shout-outs to our sponsors, Team Freedom, HyperX. Shout-outs to NA Hero League, Twitch chat, this one, Gazlo main. Josh, the Gaz God, and yeah.
Thank you very much, Lutano. That's
a
lot of the action here today. A little bit wild, as we have said, you know, a bit more unorthodox when it comes to the picks and the compositions. We don't know if the next series is going to be as wild between Tempo Storm and Gale Force because, as we have said, a little bit more on the line here. Tempo Storm, if they do struggle in that series, there is a world where Heroes Hearth Esports, in fact, does become the #1 seed in North America. But if Tempo, they can claim that #1, or if they can claim the victory, they will be that #1 seed.
It's winning they're in. I mean, I'm checking Twitter before we start today. Cattle, like 30 minutes before North America started, he's like, today's a big day or something along those lines. I mean, it means a lot. You have to win. If you lose this series, Heroes Hearth plays, I believe, LFM. I'm not saying that's a gimme, but that's obviously a much easier series for Heroes Hearth than it is for Tempo against Gale Force. So, I mean, looking at history, week number 5, I believe, we saw the same matchup. Gale Force did fall 0-3, but we've seen a different Gale Force, sometimes a little bit stronger, sometimes a little bit lower. But, you know, they want to sharpen their skills before they head into the playoffs as well. So I fully expect things to be quite a bit different. And for Tempo, obviously, I don't think there's a ton of pressure, but obviously pressure enough to win the series. So it's definitely there.
Yeah, and any win that Gale Force can win, I feel like, has got to be sending a message towards the rest of North America as well, not only on the maybe lack of stability and strength on Tempo, because when we look at them, the 3-0 that Heroes Hearth got over top of them, you've got to be going, yo, where's Tempo end up standing? And then that lack of consistency we get out from Gale Force Esports. So you get that before the playoffs, people are going to be a lot more afraid of Gale Force Esports. We're going to go to a quick commercial break, and as we said, when we come back, it'll be Tempo Storm and Gale Force Esports. He demanded on that playstyle. I would like to see more of. Turret's going to be dropped after that flip over on the Nasmus. Twin Blades not going to keep alive, but the 2-man gravity lapse is enough to get Hosty. Zugrug knocked back into the fray there, and as we see the Riptire coming out from King Caffeine, Divine Shield's going to connect, but all of Simplicity need to retreat. The hook on to, I believe this is Prismat. Gravity lapse as well. Damage is there. 3-for-1 trade in favor of Freedom. Salvo goes down, Ice Block used, and there is now a Hosey in between all the members. He gets Divine Shield and Twilight Dreams out. K1 Pro ends up falling. Now we got Cap with the flank on that Riptire.
Nasmus will not die on this variant. He's going to die now, but it took a long time. That Riptire almost came in. The concussion mine just barely evading that gravity lapse from Yoda, and there he goes. He's going in. Here comes the shotgun. King Caffeine.
You know, that's the beauty of shotguns. Not all the bullets are going to land there, mate. You know, but he went for it. Flip over.
Mad respect, though.
Yeah.
I mean, you could see it coming. Oh, there's another hook. There's no Divine Shield to save you this time. Goodbye. And somehow makes it out. That's impressive.
K1 Pro not going to be able to make little Eric survive this one. Posey, though, gets the polybomb, and immediately the kill comes in. Lutano trying to thwart them back, though, but down to Phoenix. Doesn't look like it's going to be too possible as the last keep kind of still stands. Vikings still getting pressure onto the core. Weaver's on top and bottom going to be matching at 75% HP onto those keep front walls. Those are going to get a lot of value as long as they can buy time. They see the portal, they go in. Zugrug's going to be first to drop. Great route there. Set down from K1 Pro, going to lock down all of Team Freedom. All three of them going to drop, pull back onto Collusion as Lieutenant Morales is going to end up dropping. Prismat with the body blocks is going to lock in the final kill here for Simplicity. 5-0 ace.
Lutano forced to roll back. The bomb goes out.
But the village still sieging up there. Now Zuna, wow, gonna get value out of the Enduring Will. Able to get the shove over the mosh pit. Still the damage locking him down. Another shield coming out from the mid-deep, but the damage is going to be there. 3 members of Simplicity end up dropping. And Team Freedom, the only fight, the only kills. They want this fight. They're gonna go in. Condemn. Blessed Shields are going to be dropped. There's the charge. Zuna falls low. Pops has Dingo a little bit early. Nasmus, question if he wants to get the kill there. Great route coming out from Zuna. Buys him a bit of time, but K1 Pro on an island there. Drop 7-sided. Can he get the Radiant Dash? No. Ends up being the first to drop. Prismac quick to follow after. And with 2 members dead, Simplicity, they've got to make it out. Welcome back to HGC North America, where we had one series where things were a bit playful, but things are now going to get a lot more serious as we are now having the series that could determine who is North America's representative, the first representative, if you will, at the mid-season brawl. I am Dreadnought. With me, as always, is going to be J-How. And J-How, does Tempo Storm have what it takes?
Yeah, they do. It's just a matter of how competitive does Gale Force want to make it. Gale Force has it very much within themselves to make this a very competitive series and potentially win it. But after last weekend, they had a major setback. Seen a lot of highs, seen a lot of lows. To me, though, it's going to come down between B-Kid and Glaurung on those off lanes. I think that's going to be a big talking point this series.
Yeah, and when you're referring to there with looking at last week and some of the struggles there, it's got to be the fact that they went 0-3 against Simplicity. But Simplicity looked great last week. We talked about a team with the backs against the wall. They bring out the claws, and they very much brought it. So how good is Gale Force, compared to what we saw already, before when looking at it before? But we're going to go ahead and bring up the standings here for today and show you guys what is unfolded here through North America. As we see Tempo Storm sitting at the top of that ladder. And as we said, if they end up getting this because Heroes Hearth is going to play against LFM, even if Heroes Hearth ends up winning that, they'll keep the tie going forward, and Tempo Storm is the one who has managed to pull out on top.
Yeah, that win-loss record, oh so important there in that top. That's why the first part of that is the wins-losses overall in the series. For Gale Force, they're pretty much locked into that 5th spot. So they don't have a ton to play for, but again, they need to sharpen their skills. They need to be prepared. They're going to be coming out in that first series when we do get to the playoffs. It's going to be Simplicity Gale Force. And again, as you said, last weekend they lost to Simplicity 0-3. So if they want to make sure and get back on the right track, I think it starts today.
Yeah, it very much needs to. And again, as I said, it's been a little bit difficult on how much of that, because Gale Force has been, for me, out of our two, we have two extremely, we don't know who they're going to show up today. Team Freedom and Gale Force Esports. Are they could be the best in North America. They can look like some of your, again, that kind of middle of the pack era. And though Team Freedom is, been more successful out of the two teams and been the more consistent one, as of late, that's been a little bit harder to gauge. And so now it's kind of, with Gale Force, even though there isn't that much to prove on their end when it comes to the standings itself, again, there is a lot that I think that they can prove towards themselves and that message that they send towards the rest of North America, depending on what version of them we end up getting here today. I think we're gonna. I hope we get the better version of Gale Force Esports, because going into the playoffs, I mean, I feel like that's a must. You got to set the tone.
If you're Tempo Storm, you're hoping it's not. I mean, you want that easy, right? Again, this is, if they win, they are the #1 qualifier, do not have to enter the playoffs. That's how it works. If they lose and Heroes Hearth wins tomorrow, Tempo Storm will fall to the playoffs. So it is a must-win scenario for them. It doesn't matter. Again, 3-1, 3-2, it does not matter, because that plus-minus record there